Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and today's video is something a bit different. I have a guest with me.
Hello.
It's a collaboration with my son. I'm an older gamer, as you know. He's a bit more modern. Old versus new. I'm not going to say old versus young because I'm not that old and...
I'm not really that young.
No. Both of us love gaming, but we have different passions and different eras. I'm more retro and he's more current. Although he does share my love of retro, and I do like a bit of modern gaming. So we came up with a list of gaming questions. Let's see how different, or not different, our answers are. Question 1 is, what game are you currently into?
The game I'm currently into is a game called Astroneer. It's an astronaut pioneering game. You exploring different planets and just surviving as long as possible.
And what platform is that on?
It's currently on the PS4.
Oh, okay. I am currently playing God of War, Chains of Olympus from the Sony PSP. Awesome title, but as with most of my stuff, it's a bit older than his. What is your favourite console of all time?
Well, like I said, the PS4 is just...
It's a good console.
It is a good console, and I have had it from practically launch.
Okay.
And I just haven't been able to really disagree with it.
Yeah, it's a good console. It's had a long shelf life. For me, and this was a difficult one because I'm a lot older than him. I've had a lot more consoles than he has, and I couldn't pick really between the Sega Saturn or the PlayStation 3. Both consoles I spent an awful lot of time and an awful lot of money on playing games on them. I've gone for the PS3 because it's more modern and it's really what kick-started me back into gaming a bit more recently. So yeah, that's PS3 for me. Okay, question number 3 is, what console, if you could pick from anything, would you love to have?
I would like to have the PS5, just purely to know the like the range of it.
Okay.
So to know how good or how bad the actual 5 compares to the 4.
It's a natural progression, I suppose, from the 4 to the 5.
And since I progressed from the 3 to the 4 and saw the massive jump in progression,
yeah,
I'd like to know the difference between the 4 and the 5.
Okay. For me, it's going to be an SNK Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's just one of those handhelds that I've looked at for a long time. The price for them are absolutely astronomical. They're from, I think, about 1998, 1999. Were kind of competitors to the Game Boy, but they were colour and just fantastic, but not massively popular outside of Japan. And looking around now, they're really expensive to buy. But that's a console I would love to have. And question number 4, and this was a real difficult one for us to narrow down.
Both of us.
Top 3 games of all time. Now this is in your opinion, or what you've played the most, or just what you think are the top 3 games that if you were stuck on a desert island and you only had 3 to pick from, you could quite comfortably live the rest of your days with these 3 games. So off with you.
So my desert island games would be Doom. I have played them all.
Good choice.
Since I think you introduced me to
the very
first Doom, and I have played. I think I've played all of them except Doom 3 in VR. I think that's the only one I haven't played in virtual.
Okay, and what are your other 2?
My other 2 are the other one of them is Minecraft.
Yep.
I've played that game since launch, and it's just
something I can't get into.
One of those comfort games that I play.
It is a very popular game, yeah.
Yeah. Tetris is the final one.
Tetris on what?
The Game Boy.
Yeah, the best way to play Tetris.
The best way to play Tetris is the original way.
Not the very first, but it's probably the most popular version. due to the portability of the Game Boy. Yeah, a very awesome choice. For me, and like I said, I found this really hard to narrow down. I've got a list somewhere of top 25 games, and I found it difficult enough to put together. So to narrow it down to 3, Doom, yes, is on my list.
Good choice.
First version of Doom. I still play it. I am one of these people that will put Doom on everything I can get it on, even if it's not supposed to be. So Doom is up there on my top 3 Desert Island games. Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Brilliant game.
I'm talking about not the remake, but the PS2 version. Spent hours, not really actually getting very far into the game, but just driving around. It was one of the sort of real fast first open world races, and it was superb. And my final one would be New Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS. I had that since launch. I think it came out about 2006. Still haven't managed to complete it, but I go back to it week after week and I play it. It's such a fantastic entry in the Mario series. So that's my top 3 games that I could play forever. Question number 5. How many hours a week do you spend gaming?
Should we start with you this time?
Okay. We'll start with me. I am a family man. I've got 4 kids and lots of other things to do. I don't get as much time as I'd like to. I probably could eke about 3 to 4 hours a week gaming. Over to you.
Well, I'm a little less
tied down.
I do have a job, but the weekends and evenings I do play quite considerably. So I could probably rack up about somewhere between 48 and 72 hours a week.
Okay,
that's not just home consoles, that's mobile, that's any of the handhelds, and also some VR. Not as much, but all in all about.
That's a lot of gaming though.
That is a lot.
Maybe a bit jealous there. Question number 6. Other than gaming, what do you enjoy doing?
I'm a massive nerd, so I will either watch anime or read some manga.
Yeah.
Just draw as well.
Okay. Anything else?
Binge watching a lot of just random things that I can find. So at the moment I'm binging the Game of Thrones.
That is a bit nerdy.
It is very nerdy,
yeah.
But it's a brilliant series. But
for me, it's music. I don't really do much else, and you can listen to music while you're doing everything else from housework to, well, anything. So if I'm not finding those 3 or 4 hours of game time, then it's music, and I listen to a lot of music, probably 5-6 hours a day. It's my comfort zone.
So number 7, question 7, is Sony or Microsoft?
Now we've had a bit of discussion about this today, because there is more than just us in the household. But both me and him are on the Sony side.
Yep.
They make some fantastic consoles. I am a big fan of handheld and portable, so you've got things like the PSP and the Vita, superb consoles. Microsoft have yet to dip into the handheld market, and I can't see them doing it.
I don't think they will either.
There are a few plus sides to Microsoft. I mean, I love the original Xbox, great console, and with each generation they do offer proper backward compatibility, something that Sony seemed to have stopped with the PS3, and Sony's backward compatibility is a little bit ham-fisted, but in general I much prefer Sony consoles, both home and portable. You just can't go wrong with a PlayStation, whether it be under your TV or portable in your hand. Yeah, so it's definitely Sony for both of us. But there are a few in our house that would go with the Microsoft. Yeah.
So question 8 is Nintendo Switch or Valve Steam Deck?
Oh, now this is a very easy one for me. If you're a regular viewer to my channel, you know I am big on Nintendo handhelds, and I still kind of class the Switch as a handheld. It's that hybrid which they seem to have got right. It's a home console and a portable. In terms of the Valve Steam Deck, I am not a fan of it whatsoever. I just think it's a very overpriced PC in a box with a little screen. And I'm not a fan of PC gaming. He might be, but for me, if it was Switch or Steam Deck, the Switch is probably a third of the price of a Steam Deck.
It's about that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So I'd go Switch all day long.
And I would have to agree, as the Switch has sort of branched out from the games that Nintendo would normally do.
It's matured. It's got some more mature titles on. Yeah,
definitely.
I wouldn't class the Switch as sort of childish as previous generations. Yeah.
Okay, so question 9: PC or console?
Now this is where we differ.
This is where we do differ.
I am straight console all the time. Never been a fan of gaming on a PC. I mean, about mid-90s when I left college, went straight off to work, I bought a PC, built a PC, and I used that for gaming. That was great, but I soon found a passion for consoles because they are straight up, slap it in, turn it on, play it.
And you're sorted.
Yeah, no faffing around, especially in the early days with sort of drivers that didn't work or incompatibilities. Console for me all the time.
See, this is where we differ, because I would say PC, due to the fact that you can play mostly all of the exclusives between Xbox and PlayStation. So things like Forza and Halo, which are Xbox exclusive, or the Uncharted series.
You can play them on PC, can you?
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are pros and cons to both.
Absolutely.
The con of a console is, once it's reached the end of its life, if they don't make the new one backward compatible in any way or shape or form,
you lose
that's
a lot of your stuff.
It's why I never jumped to a PS4, because I had a vast PS3 collection and I would have lost it if I moved to a PS4. With PCs, I suppose you can play everything that was ever released for Windows, pretty much. Might need a new little patch or an update for it, but you don't lose your game collection. So while I like the simplicity of a games console, I do appreciate what the differences between the two. Yeah.
So question 10 is your favourite genre of game?
Now you know the answer to this. I am a huge first-person shooter. I do a bit of dabbling in racing games, but first-person shooters are where I am. Doom, Quake, Killzone, Serious Sam, Halo. Absolutely anything anything that puts a gun in my hand and I can run around on a screen, that's me. First-person shooter all day long.
Now, this is where we differ, because I'm more of a mood dependent.
Okay.
So if I'm in a good mood, it's more like an adventure game or survival. But if I need to release some stress, I would go FPS.
See, I struggle to get into games, and if they're too slow, and bear in mind I don't get a lot of game time, I just want something I can jump into, kill a few people, and then
leave.
Go off and do the washing up. I haven't got time, and I really don't have the patience to sit there and go into an RPG or an adventure game or anything. No, FPS all day for me. So question 11 is, do you prefer single player or online multiplayer? Now, I was surprised by your answer to this.
You were surprised, because my answer is single player.
Now, I thought you'd go multiplayer, because I've been upstairs while you've been playing lots of games, and you do play a lot of games with other people, but I like single player. I like storylines, I like campaigns, and I'm a very unsociable person. I don't particularly want to be in a room with someone else who I don't know, and it's probably 10 times better than I am at playing it anyway, or even have to talk to anybody. I just want to go in, immerse myself in a storyline, spend an hour relaxing, stop doing that, and just play through a campaign.
Which is some of the reason why I like single player. And you can go at your own pace. So if you're playing a story game, going through the campaign, you don't have to keep up with someone else or slow down because of someone else.
Yeah.
You can play it how you want to play it.
Which is usually quite badly for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. I've played a couple of multiplayer online and I am useless. I've probably lost about 3 or 4 minutes before that's me out. If I'm playing something, as you've witnessed, like Call of Duty, I will probably have to play that thing about 15 times to get through that level.
Yep.
So I prefer single player because I can just hide and do what I need to do myself. I don't want to be shown up by no 8-year-old. So yeah, single player all day. And question 12 is, what's your favourite Nintendo handheld? Now, both of us are fans of Nintendo consoles.
Nintendo.
Viewers will know I've had just about every Nintendo handheld on the market. What's your favourite?
Well, mine is the Game Boy. Any of them. Colour, Pocket.
Okay, and for what reason?
For the sole reason of Tetris.
Yep. You're the only person I know that buys a console for one game.
Yeah, I did it with the Cube as well for Luigi's Mansion 1. Brilliant game. But yeah, favourite Nintendo handheld has to be the Game Boy.
That's a great choice. That was my very first games console. So I got Tetris with that, so I've played that. I've had Pockets and Colours in the past, but the Game Boy is a fantastic choice. For me, I'm a bit more modern than you in that respect.
Yeah.
As I said, I've had every version of the DS going and the Game Boy Advance, but for me the DSi XL is absolutely fantastic. Actually, the version I've got is the DSi LL, which is the Japanese version. Awesome battery life, nice and big and chunky in your hand. The screens are superb, and if it's modded, you can do just about everything on it.
Including Tetris.
And you get them lovely bright dual IPS displays on it. DSi XL is a superb console. I think it even beats me over the newer ones like the 3DS. I'd still go for a DSi XL or LL.
Right, what question are we on, by the way?
Well, we're going straight to 14.
Straight to 14.
Yeah. So question 14. What do you prefer, a handheld or a home console?
I would have to say home console.
And I'm going to say handheld.
Mainly because you're not battling a battery life. So, say for example, my Game Boy the other day all of a sudden just died.
Well, it didn't all of a sudden
die.
It did. You got 2 days gameplay out of it.
Well, yes, but still. I was in the middle of a Tetris game and it just cut out and died. Whereas if I was playing that on... Say I'm playing Doom on my PlayStation, I could sit there and play that for 6, 7, 8 hours straight and not worry about losing battery.
Most handheld consoles, minus very old things like the Atari Lynx or the Sega Game Gear, have awesome battery life.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
DSi, DS Lite at least, 18 to 20 hours. My DSi XL will push 20 hours. It's not going to die all of a sudden. I prefer portable consoles. One, because there's lots of people in our house. I can't be plugged into the TV a lot of the time, so I can take myself off and play on my DS. And I just prefer the whole portable thing. I can do it on a bus.
Exactly, you can...
In a doctor's waiting room. It's you don't have to wait till you go home. That's why I like portable consoles. And it's mine. No one else can have it.
I will agree with that. Taking things like your Game Boy or a Switch with you.
Well, you take yours to work, don't you?
I do. I have mine in my bag just in case. Like, let's say it's a long haul trip. You can't take a PlayStation with you.
I've seen someone take an Xbox on a train with a TV. That's a little extreme.
But that's the excessive.
Yeah. Yeah, there are pros and cons to both. Handheld, you've obviously got that portability, but with most handhelds, it comes with a sacrifice of power and, like you say, battery life or
battery.
Yeah, whereas home consoles are generally more powerful and they're plugged in. Although if you get a power cut, I can still play my DS.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So your home console and I swing more towards handheld.
Okay, so question 15.
Yep.
VR, is it good or is it a fad?
No, we differ on this one.
We do differ.
I am not a fan of VR. We had a PlayStation VR when they first came out, and it had its novelty value for me. But no, I'm a bit too lazy for a start. It's some of the reason I wasn't a fan of the Wii either. I just want to sit on a sofa with a controller or a DS in my hand. I don't want to be standing up and walking around and then looking like a pillock because the person who's sitting on the sofa next to you is not seeing what you're seeing. No, I'm not a fan of VR. I don't like the whole motion thing of it either. That makes me feel a bit queasy after a while. But I know you are a big fan.
I do. I really do think VR. It is in the early stages, I will admit that.
Well, maybe those issues I'm having are just because it is an early thing. It's been out for a while, but it's still...
But it is growing fast.
It's got a lot of progress to go. Or it has had a lot of progress. I think it's still got a way to go yet.
Things like the Index with the full force touch controllers. Yeah. A couple of years back, if you'd have said we would have this, you'd have thought I was crazy.
I think that's some of the reason I didn't like the PlayStation VR. You were literally tied into the PlayStation. Yeah. The Move controllers were really just clunky and janky.
They were very clunky.
I've played things like there was a Wolfenstein thing on the PlayStation VR, and it was all right. But moving and touching things with those PlayStation were not great.
So they're like wands, aren't they, with a little
button and a little ice cream ball on the top. Yeah, but I think if you had more of actual physical, what you would class as more real life touch kind of thing scenario, it might be a bit easier. But I just thought the whole waving your arms around. You look like an air traffic controller more than anything. But VR, not a thing for me. But you like it a lot.
Yeah, I do.
And you've got newer kit than the PSVR, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. I have the Valve Pro 2.
Okay, and you've had an Oculus?
I've also had the Oculus 2.
Yeah, so they are, even though I will say they're a bit more advanced than the PSVR. Who knows what the PSVR 2 is? I know that's around the corner. Not much to know about that, but it is supposed to be a lot more advanced than the original PlayStation VR, and it's not going to be backward compatible, so that shows that it could be more advanced. That's as much as I know about VR. So question 16. Have handheld consoles had their day? Now I can't remember what you said to this.
I would sort of go in the middle with this.
Oh yeah, okay.
Just purely because, yes, there are a few handhelds still coming out, like the Switch, for example. It came out how long ago? A couple of years?
It's about 6 years into its life now.
Wow, 6?
Yeah.
And it's powerful for a handheld.
Yeah.
It could outclass a lot.
Yeah, kind of.
Which is why it's a maybe rather than a straight yes or no.
I personally have followed handhelds for quite some time. I think they've had their day. Nintendo really took the horns with development and being popular with handheld consoles, and their handhelds were always went underpowered, and they were more of a counterpart to a home console. So they went for battery life and enjoyability rather than straight out power. Sony tried to come in and bring a home console to the portable market with the PSP. It did very well. then they released the Vita, and I think they released the Vita at the wrong time. It was sort of end of 2011. Smartphones were coming out. People were doing more gaming on their phones, so Candy Crush, etc., that sort of thing. And it's not the only reason the Vita failed, but it's one of the reasons. It was just released at the wrong time. We haven't really seen much after that. The Vita was a highly powerful device, let down by poor Sony marketing and being released at the wrong time. The Switch, it took off because of its hybrid side of it. It's a portable console and a home console, and I think the Switch Lite ran off the back of the fact that there were Switch fans that wanted portable, just an exclusively portable side. So the Switch, I think, is probably the exception to the rule. Otherwise, dedicated handheld game consoles, I think, have had their day. I think everyone is now, they've got smartphones that are super powerful. They're always in your pocket. It's quite easy just to whip it out and start playing a game on it. So in terms of have we seen the end of handheld consoles? I think we have.
Maybe for now. You never know what the future may hold.
It's a tie-off when you have a handheld console, because things like the DSi and the DS, like I said a minute ago, they dumbed down the specs of it to eke out the battery life. When they brought in the Vita, massively powerful, battery life terrible, because the battery technology isn't there to keep it going. And it's the same when we had like first smartphones, like the early iPhones and early Androids. Battery life was awful. Nowadays, it's pretty decent. So that's some of the reason I think we lost the whole portable games console, because the battery life can't keep up with having a powerful enough device to take it away from some of the home consoles. If battery life or battery technology evolves and we can have these super powerful handheld consoles, like I was talking to my other son about, maybe Microsoft could get in and have like a portable Xbox One, but it would need to have the power of an Xbox One and a battery life to match, because 3 or 4 hours in a handheld is rubbish.
Yeah.
So I think that's some of the where I was going with it. Other technology has taken over. It's better in terms of graphics and under the hood, and dedicated games consoles can't keep up.
Well, there you go.
There you go. That's my take. And then we move on to question 17. That's kind of follow on from the previous one, because you've got the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Now, it's a handheld as such, but would you class the Valve Steam Deck as a console?
It's just a glorified handheld PC. So no, I wouldn't.
It's a PC. It's not a console. A console, even if you have a handheld, is slap a game in, turn it on,
and away you go.
And away you go. The Steam Deck is more of a PC. I think it runs SteamOS, doesn't it?
It does, which is what, Linux based?
It's a Linux based, yeah. So the fact that it's got its own operating system means it can do more and you can mess it up more, I suppose.
Yeah.
But no, it is a console. It's not a console. It's a PC.
Definitely a PC. Okay, so question 18. Can you be too old for gaming?
Don't look at me.
I would say no.
I did cover this in a video about a couple of years ago. I don't think you can either. I got inspired to do my video because I saw an article about a lady who was about 75 and she was the biggest PlayStation Vita collector in the world. There's no age on gaming. Gaming is it's for everyone, and it can cover any kind of console or a PC or any kind of genre, whatever takes your fancy. It doesn't matter your age. I'm sure you've seen it because you do a bit more online gaming than I do, that you can get kids from 8 years old all the way up to 8-year-old people all in the same room, all playing together. They may not necessarily know how old each other are, and that's the point of it. Gaming is it's inclusive. most things in life are, well, you've got to be this age, or old enough to buy alcohol, or old enough to draw your pension. Everything then is age defined. But with gaming, you're not too old. If you can still game, then
go for it.
Do it. And if you enjoy it, it doesn't matter how old you are. So no, I don't think you can be too old for gaming. You can be too old to keep up with what's going on in the gaming world. But
mentioning no names.
No, but I think gaming is
for everyone.
It is for everyone.
And if you can still enjoy it at the age of 60, 70, 80, why not?
Yeah, why not? So, question 19, and we've got 3 more questions, and these two get a bit more serious, I think.
Very.
Is gaming good for your mental health? Now, there's mixed bags on this.
It is a bit of a mixed bag. I would say yes. As
it can be.
It can be. I use it as a stress relief, and like escapism.
Yeah, it can be relaxing, but it does depend on
what game you're playing for a start.
Yes and no. Some people will come home and chill out and play a bit of FIFA, and that's great.
Yeah.
I get very stressed when I play FIFA
because
I'm not very good at
football either.
So that sort of game would stress me out. I'd much rather relax on a Call of Duty than I would FIFA or Doom. So it can be good for your mental health if that's a way of you unwinding, relaxing, escaping whatever's going on in the world or in your world. So yeah, I think it can be, but it can also be detrimental because it can be very stressful and can cause a lot of issues if you do get stressed out playing it.
Yeah, it can do.
But it's like anything. If it's something you enjoy and it's a good way of calming down or shutting out the world for a little while, then I think that can be good for your mental health in ways. And now we come on to the penultimate question. Do violent video games lead to violence in real life?
I think we were relatively similar in answers.
I think we were.
It sort of depends on the person, what they're playing, how their mental state is.
I think it more depends on the person than what they're playing. Because if you're predisposed to that kind of thing, or taking things too seriously, then yeah, maybe possibly they could lead on to. But I don't think inherently video games cause violence outside in the real world.
They don't cause it.
You're probably a bit too young, but well, you are too young because PlayStation 2 came out just before you were born. And that's when video games got very serious. There was a whole hoo-ha about Manhunt and the early Grand Theft Autos. Manhunt got taken off the shelves and stores refused to sell it because it was too graphic and it was too... it depicted death scenes and murdering people too well. And it got taken off. It was big in the news. This whole thing about do video games cause violence has been around for a long time, even before things like Manhunt. You got things like Mortal Kombat back in the SNES days. When video games really took off and the bigwigs thought, it always went down, you shouldn't play video games, they're bad for you, they lead kids on to do violent things, and there's no proof of that anywhere. I disagree with it. I can quite easily go around and shoot 15 people in Killzone. I've got no inclination to go out and do it in real life. I'm not going to jump in a car and speed down my local road, mowing down 3 or 4 pedestrians, but I'll do that in GTA quite happily.
There's no risk of life.
There is no risk of life, and you do play games to do things that you can't do in real life. I don't. You could go the other way. If you're playing a space exploration game, you're doing that because you're not going to be able to do that in real life.
Yeah, exactly. You can't exactly just get in a rocket and go off to space.
So so why do they always err on the, well, if it's violent, then it must lead to violence? Well, I'm sorry, but no, that's wrong. I don't go by that at all. I never have done. I think it's just a way of government trying to police people, etc. Everyone getting scared that it's going to have a whole new generation of murderers, and it's not. I'm quite happy to play these games. I take them for what they are. They're a game. I put the controller down and I just carry on my normal life, and I think that's what most people do. I'm sure there are a few people that have seen what's gone on in video games and gone out and done some terrible things, but that's not down to the game itself.
Very small percentage as well.
It's down to the person that was playing it.
Yeah.
But it is a very small percentage.
Very small percentage.
Yeah. But this topic of video games and violence has been around 20, 30 years that I know of, and it never goes away. It always pops up every so often.
Even us, we're now talking about it.
Yeah, and when we were making this list of questions, I thought, I know one that's going to be quite poignant to talk about. So it doesn't go away. It's always there, even though I don't think it should be there, because it's a non-starter for me. Okay, and then we come to the final question of this video, and it's, what does 2023 mean for you and your gaming?
I would have to say, for 2023, I'm going to go down the more virtual reality route.
Okay.
I started virtual reality in, say, 2020, 2021, when the Quest 2 launched.
Yeah.
Got that on launch day. And ever since then, I've been slowly getting to grips with the whole virtual reality. And 2023 is it might be a big year for virtual reality, just because there's a lot more centered around it.
Yeah, I think it's definitely progressing quickly, and you're seeing more and more advances in VR. And
the games, the technology, for example, Valve's index controllers we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
The full hand-sensed controllers. So, for example, if you want to pick something up, you pick it up. Like, you grab it, and you want to drop it, you drop the controller.
Yeah, that sounds
a bit more intuitive, a bit more interactive.
Yeah.
Which, from the Quest, having the 2 buttons to grab, to full hand controlled VR is a massive step.
It's a bit more real.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where you're going with 2023. Is it more VR?
Definitely.
Okay. For me, well, it's probably predictable. I'm going to be continuing my quest into portable consoles. I'm hoping to pick up a PlayStation Vita again. Had one before, loved it. As I said, I've had everything else. I'm currently working my way through a PSP, but a Vita is the next step for me, and that's my goal for 2023. I might even pick up a Neo Geo Pocket Color if I become rich, but that's not going to happen in 2023. So that's us talking about our gaming lives, experiences, differences between them. 20 questions that we came up with earlier today. Some with similar answers, some very different ones. Yeah, but there is a 20-year age gap between you and me. You expect that. I haven't really kept up with modern gaming. Don't really want to keep up with modern gaming. That's why I'm sort of stuck in the.
It can get messy. In
a retro and older. I don't particularly like the word retro, but I do like. I've always been a generation back in at least consoles, whereas you lot always seem to have at least the latest console or the latest generation, and you keep up with what's new in the gaming world. You generally play what's new in the gaming world. I might dip my head in a news article and read about it, but they don't really show much of an interest to me. But yeah, that's us, me and him.
Him and me.
2 gamers, one old, one
not so old.
Not so old. And there's the 20 questions. So I'll put a link up to his YouTube channel, and if he posts this on his, I'm sure
I will link
put
you
a link
in.
across to me, and that is us. So I hope you like this rather lengthy video, but it's quite in depth, covering lots of different subjects and opinions. Yeah. So there you go. So this is me, Portable Dreams. This is him,
Dragonborn 007.
Okay. Hope you liked the video. Link, like,
subscribe,
enjoy.
Oh yeah, go on then. Can I take my jumper off? It's bloody warm.
No. Consistency. No, because then we'll do a jump cut to the next one. You'll have no top on, no job on.